Hello and welcome to July 4th, when this first drops, to be specific. And July 4th is kind of it's a rough holiday for my husband and I, and I'll talk a little bit more about why, but that's sort of kind of put a weird mood to the whole week, which is interesting for me. I mean, I've actually gotten a lot accomplished this week. This is my new coworker. Yes, so we're gonna be buddy buddy now. Now that I have her, I picked her up on Facebook Marketplace. Wait, that could sound wrong. Well, anyway, I bought this mannequin on Facebook Marketplace for $30. So, smoking hot deal, and she's going to be my coworker kind of going forward. And maybe Farah will make an appearance too. No, I'm not going to forget about you, Farah. So, the, the whole vibe this week has been totally strange. We're going to talk a little bit about what I've been working on, my makes and all that kind of good stuff. But I want to make sure that I do some self check ins with you too, because I love the videos where I get to know the person behind the camera through their videos. I like those better than just, here's a list of things to look at, or here's the things that I've accomplished this month. So I want to make sure that I keep the person in my videos. Hopefully you like that. Now, for me, that means sometimes you're going to get super silly, over the top, goofy, and other times I'm more reflective and kind of deep thoughts kind of stuff. So I don't know, maybe you can totally relate to that. But we are going to start today talking about what I have been working on this week. But first, let me tell you what I am wearing today. This top is the Citrine top, and honestly, I don't remember who the designer is, and I don't necessarily want to share that with you because, you can go Google the Citrine top, but I had some issues and challenges with the pattern. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for various reasons. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at, I think it came out very lovely. If I did it again, I would do it in not the Truboo. I'm going to be doing a review next week. No, in 2 weeks. I don't know. Anyway, I've got a review coming up of using Truboo yarn now that I've got 2 projects that I have under my belt using that. So if you're interested in using Truboo, but you want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly about using it, make sure that you subscribe so that you can catch that review of the Truboo yarn when it comes out. The very first project, I've got my notes over here, so if I kind of check those periodically, that is why. The first project is one that I have had ongoing for some time, and this sort of started as just you know what, I just want a project that I can work on periodically when I haven't planned out anything else. So I need a grab and go, and I don't have anything specific that I'm working on. So this is more meant to be a longer term project. And this is going to be a granny square blanket. I think I've talked about it before. Based on the Not a Crawl Crochet's website, they have an ebony, what's it called? Ebony granny square blanket, and she used really dark colors for it, and I picked the colors that were going to really work with my decor. I have a very neutral decor overall, and I like just a few splashes of blue in there, so these are the colorways that I picked to do that. And this is all, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. I currently have about 24 squares done. Now, the squares are made up of 2 different styles. So we have your traditional sort of granny square there, that is, pretty basic. And then we also have the starbursts. And so I have some of both of those, and you can kind of see that's how that variegated one really works up. And then I'm just going to kind of mix and match them. I need 99 squares, and I have about 24, so I'm about a quarter of the way done. For this particular project, I'm actually using a 4.5 millimeter hook. I think that's what it is. That note doesn't tell me, but I have my hook in here. This is, yes, it's a 4.5 millimeter. And so you can see I kind of just have one skein in there. I can grab this whenever I'm running out the door, and it's nice and convenient. So this is rarely something that I'm working on at home. It's more like if I have a doctor's appointment and I just want to work on something that I can pick up or drop off, or I don't have to pay a lot of attention to. I don't have to count a lot of stitches. I don't have to worry if I'm interrupted. This is the perfect kind of project for that. So that is my process on that. I think I've already used 2 skeins of yarn to get those 24 squares. Maybe 3? Not sure. But I don't count them in my full total until the project is completed. So that kind of skews things a little bit, because this probably will be a while before I complete it, and yet I'm still kind of using up yarn. So who knows? I don't know. It's just the way I do it. So that is project number 1. Okay, so my next pattern that I am working on, and this one, similar to the top that I'm wearing, uses the Truboo yarn as well. This is the Harbor cardigan by Meg at the Northern Moose. Is that right? Yes, Meg at the Northern Moose. And this uses the colorway Thistle and Light Pink. I bought the Thistle on clearance at Joann, and I bought the rest of what they had in stock, which was only 4 skeins. And this, based on my calculation, takes a little bit more than 4 skeins. So I erred on the side of adding a stripe of pink in there, just to kind of extend it a little bit and give it a little more character. I was a little worried at how the pink and the purple would work together, and I actually think I really like that pink in there. I think it kind of breaks it up just a little bit. And so that's the back panel. This is one of the front panels, so I'm kind of working on that here. And then I'll do one more of these, and then I'll do the sleeves, and the sleeves will also have that pink stripe. I might move the stripe down a little bit so that it's in a different spot, so it doesn't just look like one blah. We'll see. But that's what I am working on with that. I actually think I like the Truboo in this pattern. This pattern was actually designed using the Truboo, whereas the top that I'm wearing now was not designed using Truboo. So I'll talk more about that when I do the review, but that's an interesting sort of comparison. So I still have one more panel, seam it together, and do the sleeves on these. It is really a pretty quick workup though, so it's kind of that one that I can do sitting in front of the TV when I want to pay most of the attention to the TV and still have a project to keep my hands busy. Okay, and the final project that I am working on right now, I am doing my second iteration of a denim jacket. And that is going to use this black denim jacket that has a nice little flannel hoodie on it. And the colors that I selected for this one, the pattern that I decided on, I am using the Knit Picks Chroma. This is in the fingering weight, and it is in the colorway What's Crackin'. So I've used the Knit Picks Chroma in another pattern, and like most yarns, I have some things that I love about it and some things that I hate about it. For example, one of the things I hate is that they did do the nasty, and they have these areas where they ran out, and so they tied on, and your beautiful color phasing, color changing is totally thrown off Let me show you what that looks like because I have a great example here. That's what happens when they do that. It looks terrible. I mean, it's so terrible. I do not know that I'm even going to use this square in the pattern. But that kind of gives you that hint that yes, I am going to take this beautiful kind of color phasing yarn and I am turning it into some absolutely stunning granny squares. And then as I get all of these finished, I have a few more here, I am going to seam these all together and make sleeves out of the granny squares. I think these colors look fabulous with this for a very understated sort of, you know, I don't know, like urban sort of classy, I don't know what it is, words right now, but I just love, love, love the way these colors work up, other than that wonky one that where it ran out and it just added another color midstream. So I definitely have to keep an eye on that and hopefully, and it was like right at the end too. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. So I need about, I haven't decided how long I want to make the sleeves yet, or if I'm going to do cuffs instead of, because this one I did just leave it open. And I might do that and just do a little bit of a finish stitch on the end. I might do more of a ribbed cuff. I haven't fully decided yet. I think I need to get the entire sleeve sort of worked up and see what it looks like and then make that decision overall. But I think I need anywhere between 26 and 32 of these based on my math. And I think I'm at about 10 right now. So I still have a bit to go. And these are actually taking me about 45 minutes per square. So you do the math on how long this project is going to take me to complete. Now, finished objects for June, I had 4 total, and that includes this citrine top, the denim jacket with the sleeves, the peekaboo ponytail mesh hat, which is fabulous. Like, I am so hooked on that. And this chocolate brown sort of mesh lacy hat. Now let's talk about each of these a little bit. The citrine top, use the Truboo yarn, and this is in the colorway Wave. And again, I had a kind of a love-hate with this pattern, so I'm not going to link to the designer. If you're really creative, you can go Google it and figure out who it is. But I think it's a lovely overall. I do not think that I would ever use the Truboo on this again. And let me see if I can share with you. Again, I'll go into more detail when I do the review, but it's already started. I've worn this once or twice, and it's already starting to kind of drag down. So the Truboo is actually well known for doing that, and it's definitely something you want to keep in mind. Now, the boho denim jacket is available in my online shop, so if you're interested in grabbing that, make sure that you click the link below in the notes and go grab your own. I had so much fun with this. It was one of those projects that when I started it, I knew what the vision in my head was, but I struggled a lot to figure out what yarn I wanted to use and what stitch pattern I wanted to use. But that was really where that creative process allowed me to just kind of let loose. And I think that's one of the things that I love the most about getting to crochet, and one of the reasons why I am looking forward to doing so many more of these denim jackets, because there literally is no pattern for this, and it's just using everything I've learned over the last 2 years to create something that is a wearable piece of art. I mean, who doesn't love that, right? A wearable piece of art. So that was my second finish. The lace brim hat, this I used a pattern from the Australian Yarn Company, and I'll link to the pattern. It's a free pattern, and I'll link to it in the comments below, the notes below. But I will warn you, it is in UK terms. So you have to be able to look at that and see that when they say double crochet, they actually mean single crochet, and really kind of be able to do that translation in your head. Now, I used a discontinued yarn for this, and I have to say that I am not a fan of this yarn at all because it attracts every piece of lint known to man. And it's just a cotton. It is Online Linny 10 Beta. Weird name. It's discontinued, but for whatever reason, I have never had a yarn attract this much lint in a piece. So before I send this out, this one's also available in the online shop. Before I send it out, I am going to have to take a really good lint roller over it. Even though I've done that 2 or 3 times, every time I pick it up, I'm like, where did that come from? It's just like sucking all the lint out of the air. And so it's pretty crazy. But this is super cute. I will probably make another one for myself because it is a very kind of flirty, casual sort of wear, and I love that type of hat. I love to be able to just throw on a hat and walk out the door. I mean, I have a ton of baseball caps, but I don't always want to wear a baseball cap. Sometimes I want to be a little bit more dressy, but not like no hat kind of dressy. So I think this is a great hat for that purpose, and I definitely think I'll make it in another. The cotton is a great yarn for it. I just don't like that particular cotton. So yeah, that one also available in the shop. Or maybe I'll keep this one because it's that lint attractor and make another one. And my final make this month, last month, is the Peekaboo Pony bucket hat. And this one, again, I have a thing for hats. I love, love, love hats. And I am finding so much creativity being able to make hats because they're a pretty quick workup, quick win. You know, if I'm working on a longer term project, it's like, oh, let me whip out a hat and at least feel like I've accomplished something. This uses the Lion brand Rewind yarn, and that's the same yarn that I used for the Clio fedoras. That yarn is so fabulous because it works like a raffia without having that scratchy, papery kind of feel, and it keeps a really good, firm sort of texture. Now, using it, you do have to pull your stitches a little bit tight, so it is a little bit rough on my hands. And if you find that doing things like amigurumi is rough on your hands, this one may not be the option for you. But in order to get that really good tension overall, I do like to pull this tight. My husband gets a kick out of this yarn because it's like a ribbon. Here, let me show you. In case you've never seen it. So this is what the tape yarn, the Rewind, looks like. It looks like it's a piece of flat, really thin kind of ribbon, but it's actually really soft. And honestly, if you pull it too hard, it can rip fairly easily. But once you've worked it into a project, it is amazingly sturdy and stable, and it just works up so beautifully. I love this yarn for projects like hats and bags. It's just brilliant for that. So that's the Rewind, and that is the Peekaboo Ponytail bucket hat. I think I might make this in more colors. This one is available in the store, and it's got some of my hair in it from my modeling it, but it is so practical and so fun. With the curly hair, sometimes it's like, okay, it's not looking great on top. Let me just throw my hair in a hat. But I want the curly hair hanging down, so this is just a perfect, whether it's a messy bun or the long ponytail, whatever. Now, it kind of looks a little funny there, but honestly, when you wear it, that does not show up like that at all. So it all kind of caves in nicely. It's just a great wear. So that is the other item that I completed last month. That's right. I did want to mention that with that pattern, I did purchase that pattern and I will link to it in the comments below. But I found what I'm pretty sure was an error in the pattern, and there were a couple of places where I felt like I had to wing it. I messaged the designer, but she only has like 2 or 3 patterns listed and nothing in a long time. So I didn't really expect to hear back from her. There are no other projects attached to those patterns. So I think she just made a couple of patterns and then, I don't know if she's still active or what's going on. But just be aware that if you do purchase that pattern, there might be a couple of errors. Maybe it's just my mistake, but I think there was at least one that was pretty obvious. However, that being said, I've already told you, I'm going to make that one again. Okay, so let's talk about what my stash down looked like for last month. The yarn acquired, I did do the local yarn store haul, and I'll have the video link for that down below. This hand-dyed is one of the skeins that I picked up at that in that haul, and my thought was that it would look really good as one of the denim jacket color sleeves. I ended up not using for this one. Doesn't mean I can't use it in the future for that, right? So I did arm issues, pick that up, and that was the only haul that I had. That's the only yarn I purchased. So total for that yarn and 2 other skeins that I purchased was 370 grams. The D-stash, I did sell a skein of yarn on Ravelry for 100 grams. It was one of the K&Cs, which is now obviously no longer available because Joanne is out of business, and this gal saw that I had this K&C and she's like, I really need that skein, so she bought it. 100 grams for that. It took 366 grams for the citrine top, 180 grams for the jacket sleeves, 71 grams for the brown lacy hat, and 85 grams for the peekaboo ponytail hat. So my net decrease for last month was 432 grams. So I dropped 432 grams. Not too bad, not fabulous. Total for the year, right now, my stash, like at the beginning of the year to the end of the year, I wanted to be down 2,000 grams overall. If you recall, that was my goal, to reduce my stash by 2,000 grams. I am not on a stash diet. I can buy yarn, but my goal is to have 2,000 grams less at the end of the year. Right now, I'm going in the wrong direction still. I am at 3,974 grams more. Part of that was Joanne's fault for going out of business. And, when yarn is 60 to 70% off, you can never get it at those kind of prices. So I had to partake. But at this rate, it's going to take me another 10 months to get to that goal. And that's going to be way past the end of the year. So Black Friday sales are coming really fast, and I do tend to buy yarn on Black Friday sales because they have some great smoking deals. Girlfriend, we need to get some crocheting done, and we need to stop buying the yarn, at least for a couple of months. That's my theory. Yes. Okay. So what else is sort of going on in my world lately? So I did the shop drop on Tuesday. If you didn't catch that video, go have fun with it. I mean, the shop, most of the items you've seen here. There are definitely some items that I did not share here that are in that video. You can check those out. And just to kind of see what it looks like to have a video of a shop drop, even if you're not going to buy anything. But hey, if you're curious, go buy something. I would love for you to buy something and support me. The other thing is, I kind of go into the thrift stores just when I happen to be close to them because you never know what you're going to find. If I wait until I am ready for my next jacket to work on, I may go to the thrift stores and not find anything available. So I have recently acquired 2 new jackets. I have a white one. So now I've done the denim. I'm working on the black, and then I have a white one. This is a Chico's jacket, and Chico's is a really good brand. This is Chico's Platinum, and it is a size 0, which usually kind of works out to a small. I think it might actually be a little bit bigger than this one. So, I think super cute. I'll just cut the sleeves off of this one. I'm not quite as lucky. I didn't find any that already had the sleeves cut off. Totally okay. That's what I anticipated doing anyway. So it'll be fun to kind of figure out what color am I going to do with this? Am I going to keep it more of the subtles, or maybe something that just has no, definitely not that one. Maybe it'll be more bold. Maybe it'll be more fun and poppy. I don't know. What I'm learning is that I'm letting the jacket sort of speak to me and let me know what it wants to look like. So I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's the way it works. And the nice thing is, I think one of the reasons they got rid of this is because the sleeve has a stain on it, and I don't care. It does not matter to me one iota because I will be cutting those sleeves off. Otherwise, it looks like it is in really great shape overall. So I got that one. Then, careful. I just snagged my sweater. You got to be really careful when you're wearing crochet. I also picked up this one. This is a Lane Bryant. So it's on the bigger side. It'll be the first one that I have. This is a size 20, kind of a 2XL. And because this has the sort of rivets, these metal rivets, I'm really thinking maybe like a Southwest sleeve, just to kind of pull out that sort of Southwesty vibe and give it a little bit of country style. I got to think about it a little more, but that might be the way I go with this one, and we'll kind of see overall how that ends up turning out. So I have those. I'm trying to pick different sizes so that at least as I sort of build up an inventory of these, I can have different sizes available. Then I also picked up, and I have no idea if I'm going to do anything with this, but I picked up this denim skirt, and I'm thinking I might do something very similar by crocheting some extension, because this is kind of a short skirt. But maybe I'll add some granny squares at the bottom, or do something to zhuzh this up a little bit. I always wanted to use the word zhuzh. Zhuzh. It's just so much fun to say. Zhuzh. So I'm going to zhuzh this up. I love the fact that it has pockets. I am so obsessed with pockets. And who knows? Maybe if I get inspired, I picked it up just in case. I mean, why not? And, as part of that sort of plan to really start kind of ramping up my inventory on these jackets, I've been reaching out to a couple of boutique stores in my local area. I kind of live in an area where there are several sort of smaller, high-end boutique-y type clothing stores. And I thought, well, gosh, if I can, to be honest, this was my husband's idea. He's like, you need to sell those in the boutique stores. So I'm like, well, you should go try and talk them into that for me. I've been reaching out to see who in my circle of friends and family knows somebody that might be able to put me in contact. I'll keep you informed, but I mean, I'm just at the very early stages of that. So who knows what that's going to look like and where it's going to go. I don't know. Well, that sort of wraps up some of the crochet related things. If you are at all fascinated with and want to know more about my life and why I say tomorrow because I'm actually recording this on Thursday to go out on 4th of July, Friday, why that's such a hard day for me. Well, stay tuned because I have some life updates, and I'll kind of keep this last segment going forward to just keeping you in the loop about what's going on with my life. Now, if you have been watching, you know that I had a really hard month last month because we thought we were going to lose my mom. I mean, she literally, and this is so bizarre to me, they literally gave her a few hours to a few days to live. She was bleeding out and they had no way to stop the bleeding. So basically, her heart was just going to eventually give up. However, her body had different plans. And after literally planning a funeral, it turns out that she's going to survive. That sounds horrible, and I don't mean it to sound that way, but it was such a wild roller coaster of emotion going through that. And getting your head in the mindset of, okay, we're putting my mother in hospice, we're talking about funeral arrangements, we're figuring out who's going to be able to fly out and who's going to be able to handle what. And it was like, it really was that level. They had her in ICU. They moved her to a comfort care room because she wasn't stable enough to go to hospice, but they were talking about moving to hospice. And then finally she's just like, hey, I'm not done. So she has been diagnosed with cancer before this, but this kind of triggered it. And she's getting some chemotherapy, and for whatever reason her body just decided, I don't want to bleed anymore. And since that, she's sort of bounced back and she'll be going home pretty soon. She's still in rehab, sort of building up some strength after being confined to a bed, because if you moved you bleed for 2.5 weeks. Her body at almost 78 years old was like, okay, I have nothing left to give. And now she's sort of in rehab, building up all that strength. So that is the good news. I am at least with that at a place where I'm like, okay, I can I can take a breath. I can, kind of get back to my life a little bit and stop spending 12 hours a day in the hospital. So that was I wanted to update everybody because I know I hinted at least a little bit about that, so I wanted to share that quick update. And on the flip side, I don't know if I shared this or not, but my husband had shoulder surgery in the end of May. And my husband's a very active individual. He's go, 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 go. And he likes to be involved in stuff. He usually does 2 bowling leagues a week and then also has a day where he goes to practice and he goes out and he plays racquetball. While he works from home, he is gone a lot. And as he's been recovering from this shoulder surgery, he's not been able to leave the house without me at all. And my way of recharging is to be in isolation with nobody. Like, even my husband, I love, love, love him to death, but I need to have me time where I can just turn on whatever I want on the TV, sit on the couch with my doggies, and just veg out, crochet, and just I don't have to think about him. I don't have to think about anybody else. It's just all about me. Can you relate to that? Can you? Let me know in the comments below if you understand what that's like. So finally, after about 6 weeks, he went up to Flagstaff to visit his mother and stepfather. And so I had 2 whole days of quiet me time, and it felt so amazing. I just was able to get some work done and really get the vibe going. And, it's kind of one of those, I have a certain balance that works for me, but when I have to accommodate other people, then all of a sudden my random, like I have it's scheduled spontaneity. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I like to have a schedule, but I like to be able to have some flexibility within that schedule. And I can totally manage that when I'm by myself and I don't have to account for other people's randomness. But when I'm accounting for somebody else's randomness, it throws me totally for a loop and I have a hard time. I struggle with that a little bit. So having those 2 days was amazing. It was just so nice to just veg out, and I thank him so much. He asked me, he's like, well, do you want me to come home early? And he's been snoring, so I've been sleeping a lot in the guest bedroom, and I try not to go down there until he starts to snore, which means about 3 o'clock in the morning he starts to snore and I end up in the basement. So it was just nice not having to do that for a couple of days, which is very good. It gave me a chance to really kind of get the vibe going and have a week that started off very productive. Now, the reason that it's such an odd week is because tomorrow, as I'm recording this, today as it comes out, is 4th of July. And for those of you that are not familiar, 12 years ago on the evening of 4th of July, we got the phone call that no parent ever wants to get and found out that our son, my husband's son, my bonus son, I've been raising him since he was 4 years old, had passed away. He was 3 weeks from his 18th birthday. So in 3 weeks, on July 27th, he would be 18. And so 4th of July always sort of has that, it used to be one of our favorite holidays. And now it's just one of those holidays where it's like, I don't really ever know how to feel. I don't, everybody says, oh, well, happy 4th of July. And I'm like, yeah, happy 4th of July. And thanks for the reminder. And I try not to be that way because it's not their fault. That's selfish of me to expect everybody else to give up their 4th of July because it's a hard holiday for me. I would never ask anybody to do that, but I never quite know how to respond. I don't want to be inauthentic to who I am and just be like, yeah, happy 4th of July. Let's go have barbecue and watch the fireworks. When deep down inside, I still struggle with that grief. And I would question a little bit if I didn't, but it definitely isn't as debilitating. And we don't talk much about grief in our society. That is definitely something I do not think we talk enough about. And I know this channel is not about grief, so I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, but I also want to be authentic and true to who I am and share with you guys what kind of stuff is going on in my life. So I do still experience the grief. It's not as debilitating as it used to be. There's an analogy or sort of a picture that is sometimes used to explain the way grief works over time. And it's not that our grief gets smaller, because it really never does. It's that our world gets bigger around the grief. So we have more life experiences. We have more events to base things off of. We have more things to kind of fill in around the edges of where once it was just this huge ball of grief. Now there's all of this stuff that sort of expands around that grief and makes it so that the grief feels like a lesser portion of your overall existence. Whereas once, when it first happened, it was everything. Like every bit of my being was consumed with the grief of having lost our child. No, I didn't give birth to him, but I raised him since he was 4 years old. He was, in every sense of the word, he was my child, other than biologically speaking. And now I can go into that holiday and anticipate having at least a little bit of a good time, but there's still a little bit of the anxiety of, I don't know when that trigger is going to happen. I don't know when I'm going to hear a song or think of a memory or experience a time or see something that all of a sudden is going to bring it all back in a wave, and I'm going to be flooded with emotion again, and I'm going to have to leave the room. And you know what? If that happens, that is totally okay. I am totally okay with that happening. And if anybody else has a hard time with that, that's on you, buddy. That's not my problem. I am going to take care of me, not at your expense, but also not at my expense. I'm not going to ask you to end your party because I'm having a bad day, but I'm also not going to stay at a party where emotionally I'm having a hard time. Not because of your party, because of something else. But it's being able to know the difference between taking care of me and not squishing my feelings away and hiding who I am, because that's not healthy either. So anyway, that's my little rant on what this particular holiday is all about for me at this point in my life. I certainly hope that as you get a chance to watch this, probably not on 4th of July. If so, I hope you have a wonderful day today. If it's later, I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July and all of the amazing things that holiday means to us and our country. And I just hope it's amazing for you. Thank you so much for sticking through. If you are still here, I appreciate you so very much. And hey, Farah, take us out.